Perspective people, welcome back for another video, another theory. Today we are going to be talking about how The Flash really did put an end to the Snyderverse and set up the timeline for James Gunn's DCU. But before I get started, just a gentle reminder that the world is full of a lot of negativity. I hope you're doing your part in spreading the positivity, stop the hate, spread the love. And now to the video. Now, if you guys remember when James Gunn made his first announcement, stepping into the role of being the co-CEO of DCU, where he went ahead and announced all these projects for DCU's Chapter 1 named Gods and Monsters, he went ahead and he said that The Flash, the movie The Flash, will go ahead and reset the timeline. It will go ahead and help with the reboot of the entire thing.
To The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe.
Now, I know a lot of people have seen it, and a lot of people's opinion is, well, I don't see where the reboot happens because the movie seems to be very self-contained. Yeah, it made some references to the past, but no references to the future. However, you know, being someone who's seen the movie 2-3 times, I started to, pick up little things after the first viewing, and I started to pay attention to them. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what can truly go ahead and set up the future timeline just based on this movie. And I think I have a case for you. Now, this is a long shot, but it's a better explanation than having no explanation, and this is my personal theory. This is not something that I've heard from anyone else. This is not from any other type of source. My personal theory, so I wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that beforehand. So, for any consequences in the future or possible consequences, let's just say that. Now, my first point is, if you guys remember in the movie, when he went back in time, he changed the timeline to where his mom is now still alive, his dad is still there, and he went ahead and created a separate timeline. Now, if you guys remember that Michael Keaton's Batman in the kitchen scene where he's, giving his pasta theory, which was a very odd choice to explain how the parallel universes work and all the timelines. But anyways, so if you guys remember, Michael Keaton's Batman's in the kitchen with both of the Barry Allen, and they're talking about how time travel really works. And Bruce Wayne tells Barry that just because he went in time and changed the events doesn't mean that he just diverged from the original timeline, that he just created another parallel. No. What he ended up doing was he ended up creating a whole new timeline with its own past, present, and future. And so that is the first clue, right? So now we know that in that timeline, it's no longer Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne. That's why we have Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne. Now, he also mentioned, now that's a key thing to remember. And again, this is something you probably won't catch unless you were to pay attention. But later down in the movie, toward the end, where Barry keeps on going back in time, both of the Barrys, right? And what are they doing? If they are making changes, what are they doing? They are now creating new timelines, right? And with each of those timelines, they're creating new past, new present, new future. And so what happens from there on, now you go ahead and jump to the post-credit scene with Aquaman. Now, if you guys remember, Ezra Miller's Flash has a conversation with Jason Momoa's Aquaman. And I think this is one of the many reshoots they had ever since James Gunn stepped into power. And this kind of really gave the tip of, how you could know that the DCU will be a new timeline or if it's going to be the same one. Because if you were to go ahead and pay attention to the lines of Ezra Miller's The Flash, where he talked about he went to all these different universes trying to look for Ben Affleck's Batman or Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne, he is never there, right? So he's saying in every universe he's gone, he doesn't see Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne there. It's always a different Bruce Wayne, a different actor playing a Bruce Wayne, basically. And the key words he says from there are, to Jason Momoa, when Jason Momoa was basically like, what about me? He said, in every universe he's been to, Jason Momoa was Aquaman. That's basically what he confirmed, right? Now, if you were to combine those three things together, and in the future, we already know that Jason Momoa, I know it's not publicly announced, but we all know that Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo, right? Like, he's going to go ahead and end Aquaman after this new movie that's coming out. So what's going to happen is that when you do have Jason Momoa's Lobo, and there is no Jason Momoa Aquaman, that's how you know that Ezra Miller's Flash doesn't exist in there because he never went to that timeline. And so, because Jason Momoa is no longer Aquaman, because Ezra Miller said, every timeline I've been to, you are there, Aquaman. Now we know that if Jason Momoa is Lobo in this new DCU, we know that it's a new canon because Ezra Miller never went to that timeline, and therefore Ezra Miller's Flash is no longer the Flash. So in a very subtle and possibly true way, the Flash movie really did kick Ezra Miller out. It really did kick Jason Momoa's Aquaman out and said, hey, the new timeline where you don't have Jason Momoa playing Aquaman is basically the same universe where Ezra Miller's Flash doesn't exist, where Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne doesn't exist, where George Clooney or all these previous actors, their characters no longer exist. And therefore now you have a new beginning. Now you have a new DCU. Was that the best way to go about it? I don't think so. Could I be overthinking it? Maybe. I don't know 100% sure. But it just makes sense to me because a lot of people are wondering how can they really even kick out Ezra Miller? Are they even going to kick out Ezra Miller? And in my opinion, yes, they are. There is no way in hell they would want to jeopardize the future money they could make, given how bad The Flash bombed in the box office. And I think most of it had to do with Ezra Miller. Just seeing how many people were really vocal about that online, and rightfully so. And then, I think James Gunn and them, they realize that this is just going to be a problem for the future. So if they want to start on a good note, they got to start from a clear state. And we know that Aquaman 2, most recently, as like last week or so, they've had more reshoots done. So what do I think? I think these reshoots will have something to do with time travel. So whether Aquaman 2 is going to have like Arthur dying or something, that could be one thing, or maybe they're going to stay alive. But I think there's going to be some sort of event that is going to go ahead and have Aquaman 2 be the conclusion of the DCEU rather than The Flash. But I may be wrong about that part, but I feel pretty confident about the whole creating new timeline thing just because it makes sense. And if they don't have a plan, if they don't really have a plan for like the reboot, I think my theory kind of works, right? They could explain it in one way or another, maybe through a comic or something, I don't know. But that's just the way I think of it. What do you guys think of my theory? Whatever your thoughts are, leave it in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that post notification bell. And until next time, I hope you guys have a good one.